New videos every day.
So what these articles are about is this chart. This chart is called Coercion Management Techniques, and it says Bitterman's Chart of Coercion. So this chart is being used in Guantanamo for training to interrogate. So I'm going to go over this chart now, and there are 8 methods of coercion to elicit compliance. The first one here is isolation, and the effects of this method is it deprives victim of all social support of his ability to resist, develops an intense concern with self, makes victim dependent on interrogator. And the variants of this method are complete solitary confinement, complete isolation, semi-isolation, and group isolation. Now, imagine being put away in a small room or cell with no human contact for weeks on end. The second method, monopolization of perception. And the effects of this method are fixes attention upon immediate predicament, fosters introspection, eliminates stimuli competed with those controlled by capture, frustrates all actions not consistent with compliance. And the variations of this are physical isolation, darkness or bright light, barren environment, restricted movement, and monotonous food. So what this method is doing is it's depriving the person of any stimuli other than the person brainwashing. And the person brainwashing could put a hood over the guy's head so he can't see anything and he can only hear the person brainwashing's voice, or putting a bright light in the victim's face so they can't see anything and they're blinded, or tying the person down so they can't move. So the third method is induced debilitation, exhaustion. And the effects of this is weakens mental and physical ability to resist. And the variations of this are semi-starvation, you don't eat, exposure, you're put into a cold cell, freezing cold cell, you're completely naked and you're exposed to the elements. Or you can be put into a really, really hot cell and not given any water. Basically, you're just exposed to the elements. Exploitation of wounds. They slash open your leg or whatever, throw salt in it, pound it. Induced illness. They give you a shot full of a drug that's going to make you really sick. Sleep deprivation, they don't let you sleep. Prolonged constraint, they tie you down, you can't move. Prolonged interrogation or forced writing. So you know in school when you have to write, I will not do this 10 times on the board after school. Well, this is done for hours and hours and hours and hours. Or overexertion, where you just basically are worked until you collapse. So method 4, threats. And the effects of this are cultivates anxiety and despair. And the variations of this are threats of death, threats of non-patriation, which means you're threatened that you'll never be able to go back to your country, threats of endless isolation and interrogation, vague threats, threats against family. So they threaten they're going to kill your children, or they're going to kill your wife or whatever. And also mysterious change of treatment. You don't know what's going to happen. One day they're beating you. The next day they're giving you a steak. The next day they're isolating you. You don't know what's going to happen. So you're really confused. Method number 5. Occasional indulgences. So they occasionally give you something that you want. You're allowed outside when you hadn't seen sunlight for 3 months. or you are allowed to sleep for an hour, or you're allowed to have a cigarette, or you're given a sweater when you've been in the freezing cold. The effects of this are, it provides positive motivation for compliance. So the person in the cell wants to do what the interrogator wants them to do because they want these things. It hinders the adjustment to deprivation. So if you haven't eaten for 3 weeks, you're used to it. But if they give you a meal here and there, you're never going to get used to it. So some of the variations are occasional favors. Occasionally they'll give you a cigarette, or occasionally they'll give you a meal, or they'll let you sleep, or they'll let you go outside. Fluctuations of interrogators' attitudes. They're nice 1 minute, they're really mean the next minute. Promises. Rewards for partial compliance. So I want you to confess to 8 murders and you're confessing to 1, so I'm going to reward you. I'm going to let you have a big old steak dinner for confessing to at least 1. Tantalizing. So you haven't eaten for 3 weeks and I put a huge steak dinner in front of your cell. Method 6. Demonstrating omnipotence and omniscience. This basically means to have complete control over the victim. The effects of this are suggest futility of resistance. And the variations of this are confrontation, pretending cooperation, taken for granted, demonstrating complete control over victim's fate. So this whole thing basically means that the person brainwashing has complete control over the victim. You don't eat unless I say you can eat. You don't sleep unless I say you can sleep. You don't go to the restroom unless I say you can go to the restroom. Your arm is broken if I say your arm is broken. I have complete control over your fate. Method 7. Degradation. The effects of this are makes cost of resistance appear more damaging to self-esteem than capitulation. So what they're saying is that they make it seem that you're better off if you don't resist than if you resist. And the other effect is it reduces prisoner to animal level concerns. The variations of this are personal hygiene prevented. They do not let you take a shower. They do not let you brush your teeth. Filthy infested surroundings. Maybe they stick you in a cell without a toilet and there's rats everywhere. Demeaning punishments. Maybe they have men shave other men's private parts. It's demeaning. It degrades the person. Insults and taunts. Denial of privacy. Maybe they don't let you wear any clothes or they don't let you go to the restroom by yourself. Method number 8. Enforce trivial demands. So this means that they basically enforce you to do things that are totally trivial and not important, like raise your hand or walk over to the wall or touch the ground. Basically what they're doing is they're conditioning you to do what they want you to do so that when they really want you to do something, you'll do it. The effects of this are develops habit of compliance. And the variations of this are forced writing, so they'll make you write nonsense or write for a really long time just for the heck of it, or enforcement of minute rules. So maybe they make a rule of you have to have a star drawn on your leg at all times, or you have to have your left shoelace untied at all times. Basically, they're conditioning you to do everything they say and abide by all of their rules. Doesn't this seem like torture to you? Because they actually argue this. They say that it's not causing bodily damage and it's not causing permanent psychological damage, but how can it not cause permanent psychological damage? I'd like to know what you think, so post a comment. So in a future video, I'm going to be talking about how psychiatrists have worked on a way to mind control people by implanting microchips or electronics into the brain. And I'm also going to be doing a video about how emotions work. So you might want to stick around because I'll be back. So please subscribe if you aren't subscribed already. Post a comment because I'll be back. Thanks. And also rate my video. Rate my video. Thank you.
For more great videos like this one, check out the Psychetruth channel on YouTube.